It's Terry with Live True Coaching. Today I wanted to show you a recipe for a pudding, and it's actually primarily made from a vegetable, and that's the yellow squash. I have adapted this recipe from Donna Gates. She has a vanilla pudding recipe in her, I think it's a body ecology diet book or a recipe book. I don't remember exactly. It was 3-4 years ago that I first tried it. So I've adapted it a little bit, and there are a lot of variations that you can try. And today I'm actually going to use some banana, so I'm going to call it a banana pudding. So you need a high-powered blender with this. I have a Vitamix. Blendtec would work. I'm not familiar with anything but the Vitamix. Personally, I've only used the Vitamix. If you have a run-of-the-mill blender, it might not be as smooth, but you still might be able to get a pretty good end product. I'm just not sure. So if you have a Vitamix, definitely you're good to go there. So the first thing I'm going to do is, well, first thing I've already done is I've peeled the yellow squash. Now you can notice mine are pretty small, so the skins were pretty thin, but I like to peel mine anyway because the skins are just a little bit, maybe a little bit too grainy for a smooth pudding. So I just peeled it and got rid of the peels. Now you will have to deal with the seeds inside. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If you have a Vitamix, you can actually leave the seeds in, which I'm going to do, but I'm going to show you how to take them out anyway. So you won't get to the seeds until kind of the middle, so I'm chopping off the ends and putting those in the blender. This has a few seeds in it, but that's okay. So you want to cut them in half, like so, and take a spoon. This is a really cool spoon because it's actually for grapefruit, and so it has a serrated edge on the end. And these seeds are really small because the squash is pretty young. So if you just scooped out the seeds like this, a regular spoon would work. It would just be a little bit more harder. They would come out really easy. The last time I made this, I left the seeds in, and it was just fine. So I'm actually going to do that now because I like easy, and there's probably some good nutrition in the seeds, and I want to leave that goodness in there when I can. I am not adverse to chopped up seeds. So, chop them up, and I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. You'd be surprised at how liquidy this becomes. I'm probably not going to need any water. I use 3. I prefer to use 2, but 2 was not enough to fill the blender so that I could blend it easily. I usually just make my recipes for 1 because I like fresh, and I'm usually only preparing food for 1. So this recipe is going to be actually a moderate, smallish, moderate meal for me. You can divide it in 2 easily and make it kind of a side, like a dessert or something for 2 people. So I'm going to go ahead and blend this starting on low and going higher. See what I mean about it not being quite enough sometimes. So we're going to make do. Just going to mush that down a little bit. When I add a few more ingredients, it will be just fine. Which actually, let's do that now. So I blended that a little bit. I have 1 banana, and mine happened to be frozen, so it's semi-frozen at this point. But that is going to add a little bit of sweetness to it, and it's obviously going to give it a banana flavor. I have made it vanilla pudding before without the banana, but I needed a lot more sweetener, and I generally don't use any caloric sweeteners. I might use a little bit of honey once in a while, so I like to use fruit instead. The banana is perfect, because I like banana pudding anyway. If you want more banana, you put in more banana and it's more banana-y. Then it's more of a strong banana pudding. This is just going to be kind of slight. So let's do that, and it's going to start mixing up really nicely. So you really are kind of whipping it. It looks nice. It looks just like vanilla pudding at this point. But we have to put in a few more goodies. So I'm going to add some flavoring. I ran out of vanilla. Vanilla would be my go-to sweetener. I use a lot of vanilla. I have all kinds of flavors. Today I decided to try white chocolate. I don't know how it's going to taste. I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm going to add 6 drops. The flavors that I like is from medicine flower. They're considered raw, and they're pretty clean. They're pretty, when I say clean, they're pretty, they don't have alcohol, they don't have any alcohol in it. They don't have any glycerin in it. It's just pure flavor, and I don't know how they do it, but they're fantastic. So I would suggest those. I also use a lot of stevia. I like Omica brand, O-M-I-C-A. This is not the bottle for that. I buy a huge container and I put it in glass. So I'm going to add to taste, I don't know how many drops that was, like 15 or 20. I'm also going to add some glucoma powder. This is going to also add a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of creaminess, a little bit of a different kind of taste. Got some nutrients in it too. Nothing to write home about, I don't think, but lucuma is actually a fruit. I'm putting in probably 1 good tablespoon. So it's a dried fruit, that's all it is. This can totally be omitted. And I'm gonna, let's do this now. So I have, to make it creamy, and since this is a meal for me, especially because I just came from the gym, I need some protein. You can hear my cat. This is a 1/4 cup of colostrum. I use Thrival brand. And this is going to be about 20 grams of protein. This is my colostrum that I keep in here. And I'm going to add in some goat's whey protein. You can see I buy in bulk. I love goat's milk. It feels better in my body than regular milk, though I do fine with both. So I'm going to add 2 scoops of this goat's whey protein. This is from pasture goats on the West Coast. They have a great farm out there. This is another 20 or so grams protein. The brand of this is Mount Capra. I've used their stuff for a long time. Now, do you have to use whey protein? No, but I wouldn't suggest using milk, because it's going to be too watery. You're actually getting a lot of liquid out of the moisture, out of the squash, kunta. So using some kind of a powder, a creamy powder, is going to be kind of what you want to do to make it not too wet and to make it creamy. So you need something to give it a little bit more body. I love using the squash though because it adds good fiber and you're getting your veggies in. Yellow squash doesn't have an overpowering taste, so you can actually do a lot with it. You can even obviously make a dessert with it, like I'm doing. So let's stir this up and see how it comes out. See how easy that was. It is a little bit too thin for my taste. Give it a taste though, first. That's really good. Yum. However, I'm going to add some xylitol. It's another non-caloric sweetener. I only use xylitol from birch. Otherwise, it's from GMO corn. You don't want to do that. I'm going to put in a couple tablespoons. Xylitol has a unique sensation in your mouth. It gives it kind of a cooling type of a sensation. It's not really a taste, it's just a sensation. So I like to use both in some recipes. Give that another taste. A little bit more. So you could use any sweetener that you really wanted to. You could use honey. If you wanted to use sugar, be my guest. Really anything. That's not what I wanted to grab. I'm going to add a little bit more stevia. Alrighty, that should do her. You know what? I'm going to add a little bit more of the white chocolate too. 2 more drops. See how that turns out. All right. Yes. Woohoo! So, because it's a little thin, what I'm going to do is add some chia seeds. I love tapioca pudding. At least I used to growing up. So chia is kind of a nice way to make a consistency of tapioca pudding. Now, white chia seeds would be ideal. I don't have those. I have black. So aesthetically, it won't be as pleasing like tapioca pudding is. But I don't care because it's only for me, but if I was serving this to others, white chia would be my go-to. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon in. If you've never used chia seeds, when you soak them, they become gelatinous. And so they will thicken this up a little bit. They'll add some really nice, good fats. People say they're a great source of protein. They're not. A good source of protein means that something has high protein in it. Chia seeds don't have high protein. The little extra protein is a nice little added benefit. So I have to let this sit for a little while. You could top this with some cream. You can do so much. When you serve this, and you tell people it has yellow squash in it, if you decide to do that, they would not believe it. So I have these little pineapple snackaroons. I'm going to take one of these, and I'm just going to put it on top like so. It's for a little garnish, a little decoration, a little texture. Isn't that sweet? So there you have it. Banana pudding made with yellow squash. Enjoy.